So let's look at loading JSON data into Snowflake, and just make sure you have uploaded all the necessary files into the folder line item underscore JSON, because this is where we'll be ingesting the data from. Okay, so I have a bunch of files here, which is in the JSON format and it's compressed. So let's go back to Snowflake. I'm going to say use role sysadmin. Now the first thing is creating the file format, as we know, as we've seen before, similar to CSV. But when it comes to JSON, it's pretty simple. All you have to say is type is equal to JSON, right? So the file format has been created. Next, we create the stage object, similar to what we did before. The name of my stage is going to be stg underscore table name, which is line item underscore format, which is JSON underscore dev. All right. I am referencing the same storage integration object, and this time the name of the URL or the URL location, instead of line item underscore CSV, is going to be line item underscore JSON. Okay, and I'm using the file format, which is this one, which we created. So let's go ahead and run this. It says already exists, so I'm just going to say create or replace stage. So there you go. So we've created the stage. Now the next step is to list the data and actually copy it into the line item table, right? So let's list it first. So this one tells you all of the files and the names, along with the size and the hash and the last modified for all the files inside of the specified directory. Now let's finally run this command, copy into table name from the JSON stage object. Okay, and on error, I'm going to say abort it. So if there's any error, it's going to abort the execution. Let's run this. Now, if you run this, when it comes to JSON, you will see an error. Since JSON file format can produce one and only one column of type variant or object or array, use CSV format instead if you have more than one column. Now, what does it mean? Now, if you know, JSON is semi-structured data. It has data in the form of key and value pair, right? As opposed to CSV, where one row indicates one row in your table, and every column is split by comma or any other delimiter that you've specified. So JSON is a bit tricky. It's a bit different. It's similar to Parquet. When it comes to JSON, you cannot just copy the data as it is into a structured table, because you're talking about unstructured or semi-structured data, right? So what do? Let's actually query the stage object that we have here. So you can actually say select $1 from your stage object and limit 10, right? Now, if you do select $1, it means you're selecting the first column from the stage object and just show 10 rows, right? So here you can see the actual content of your files, okay, in the form of key value pair. Now, this is your JSON format, and you can actually do the same for your CSV as well. So you can actually say select $1, $2, $3 from your CSV object, okay, which we had created earlier. Now, you know, the CSV has, I think, or the table line item has 15 to 18 columns. So you can actually select all of them and say from the name of the stage object, you can actually treat it like an external table. Now, these kind of queries come in handy if you want to perform basic transformations just before ingesting the data into your structured table. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you now. So when it comes to ingesting JSON or Parquet data into Snowflake, there are a couple of ways of going about it. Now, the first way is to create another table, ingest the data as it is into that raw table. And once you have the data in the raw table, you can actually transform the data and load it into the structured table. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm just going to say create or replace table, line item underscore raw JSON. And this table has just one column of type variant. Now, variant is a data type in Snowflake which can hold semi-structured or unstructured data. Okay, I'm just gonna run this command. Let's refresh the schema. You have the table here. Now I'm gonna copy the content of this stage into my raw table. So instead of saying copy into the actual table name, which is line item, I'm gonna say copy into this table, which has only one column. All right. So let's execute the same command here. I'm using an extra small cluster. If you guys are using a bigger one, it shouldn't take this long. So it took almost 7 seconds. Let's do a select star from this table. I'm going to say limit 10. So you can see the data has been populated inside of this table. Now we can now copy the data, transform it the way we want, put it in a structure and insert it into this table. Now that's one way, which is fairly simple. Now how do you do that? So let me take this query here. I'm going to paste it. So you can refer to the key or the value of a specific key by using a colon in Snowflake. So src is the name of my column. The table only has one column, right? So that's the name of my column, colon the name of the key. Okay, so if I run this command, you can see we have actually structured the data the way we want. Now we can now simply say insert into line item and this query. So let's just go ahead and insert 10 rows of data into the table line item. You can see 10 rows have been ingested. Now this is one way of doing it. Let's now just truncate it. Okay, table line item. Now the second way is to actually use the same methodology, but instead of loading the data into a raw table first and then loading the structured table from this raw table, you can avoid this step by actually querying or transforming data from your staging object. Now this is a little better in terms of the number of steps involved. So the way you can do that is I'm going to copy that and paste it here. So I'm saying select $1. Like I mentioned, the JSON object only has one column, unlike CSV, right? So $1 colon the key name, and I've selected all of the keys that I have, okay, in my stage object, and limit 10. So you can actually query this stage as if it were a table. Now you can see the data is appearing here, but you can see quotes in some of the columns. So how do you handle that? So let's see, ship date has quotes. It's actually in a string format. What you can do is typecast it to varchar, in which case the quotes will disappear, the double quotes. The same with commit date. And the receipt date, ship instruct. In fact, all of the majority of the columns have quotes. So I just want to get rid of them before I ingest them. Line status, return flag. Well, everything else looks fine. So let's just run this. So we have eliminated the quotes. It should have been a double quote. Yep, it should have been a double quote because I'm typecasting. So let me replace the single quotes with single colon with double colon. Let's run this again. So now this data looks clean and looks good to be ingested into the line item table. So let's ingest this 10. Now you guys can actually go ahead and remove the limit 10 and ingest everything and just see how that works. So I'm just gonna say insert into line item and the result. So here I'm querying the stage object instead of the raw JSON, and I'm going to insert 10 rows, right? So there you go. So that's how you load JSON data into Snowflake. There's a need to transform the data a little bit before you actually ingest it into a structured table, because JSON is semi-structured. I want you guys to take up the next task as an assignment, which is loading Parquet data into Snowflake. Please do not look at the code. Please do not copy paste it. It might take a little bit of reading. You guys know there's a link attached to the section. So just read through the copy into documentation and click on Parquet. Play around with it. It's okay if you fail. You already have the code in the repo, but do not copy paste it. So just try to ingest it as an assignment. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.